Welcome back to Avondale, Arizona. We've been here many a time before, and this trip is nearly a full year in the making. But the Integrity OCTANE Series is back once again at one of its most prestigious circuits, previously holding its title race. Now instead, it serves as an early season challenge. Welcome back to coverage live on FTN of the Integrity Racing League, and tonight, the Tuesday night tour at the Phoenix Raceway. The Integrity OCTANE Series continues its 2025 season, fourth race of the season indeed, and the smallest track we've visited so far. From Avondale, Arizona, this is the Phoenix Raceway. Welcome back live on FTN. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Currently, more than 30 drivers have registered for tonight's event. It looks like still are more to come. However, qualifying is already on its way, so we're figuring out who exactly has the top times on the board. Currently, the number 34 of Nolan Potter leads the way. And we're coming back to the ovals after a dominant victory from Scott Eckridge last week at the Circuit of the Americas. So drivers who are more traditionally strong at these left-turning tracks are looking for a big recovery. Ethan Lane not able to get the job done last night in the Ignite Series. Instead, falling to Blake Cannon, is now looking for his own racing redemption. Got a second place finish last week in Austin, Texas. Now finding himself P1 on the board with the provisional pole position over Nolan Potter and Cody Smith. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Halfway through our qualifying run, more than 15 drivers have taken the time, and now it looks like more than 20 have. A vast majority of the session already putting their times in. Going to be exciting to watch as now nearly 40 are in our server. Taylor Story finds himself the 30th and last driver with a time so far. To cross the line, Woody Mahan will be 14th place. It looks like now, smack in the middle of the field, just ahead of Eric Thornton and just behind Bobby Keith. Eckridge, after a wonderful performance last week, puts his number 70 up to 4th on lap number 1. This is his second and final attempt, looking for some slight improvement as Jared Davis goes P2. Eckridge, not enough. He'll stay inside the top 5, but will not jump up further. And it looks like with a minute and 42 left on the clock, Matt Sizzler is the final driver to get a lap run going. See now what the number 93 can do. Matt across the line. 20th on lap 1. Now going for his second and final attempt. In total, 33 times have been taken, including Matt so far. He finds himself 20th of those 33. Right now looks to be ever so slightly quicker than his previous run. So as he comes across the line here, 27.8 will just be 1,000th of a second off, heading further inside the top 20, staying 20th exactly as now Atlanta race winner Jacob Fife gets on the way. Fife in the number 36, already a win in his bag, and although he wasn't able to replicate that performance in Atlanta last night, came off strong 2 Tuesdays ago. Got the victory at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. As it stands, it looks like the number 36 is looking strong in this opening lap. Of course, it's going to be a better lap next time by. Jacob coming across the line next time through. 31 seconds on the clock. This might be the do-or-die lap now for Fife. Running out of time in this qualifying session. He'll need to go big or go home on this one, and it looks like slightly slower than his average previous lap. Across the line now for the number 36, Jacob Fife. 27.815. That will be good for 21st, right behind Matt Sizzler. And it looks like for the second week consecutively, the driver of the number 6 gets the pole position. Hasn't yet been able to capitalize for a victory on Tuesday nights, but Ethan Lane back-to-back with pole positions here in Phoenix. Second consecutive of the series. Last week, however, he only finished in second. The goal now, go one spot higher. Ethan Lane back up to the top of the board, of course, with many a familiar face. And now drivers get back on track for final practice. Zach Strinthal, one of which, in the number 20. Got Brian Greenlee also on the way. There's the number 38. And Bobby Keith in the number 92 as well. So a wide variety of drivers, spanning from the day one drivers of the OCTANE Series to the rookies out on the circuit. And since we have a little bit of time, of course, before we go racing, let's get to know that starting grid. Inside of row number 1, we mentioned him before. We'll mention him once again. That is Ethan Lane with the pole position tonight. Jared Davis starts right behind him. He'll be P2. Nolan Potter is going to start 3rd, and Cody Smith will then be 4th. Scott Eckridge 5th, and Paul Mikolajczyk finding himself rounding out the Super 6. 7th place will be Zach Scrintinol with Nicholas Ward 8th, Kevin Bernheimer 9th, and Don Stevenson in P10. Nick Tarbuck will go 11th place, and Sam Nieto rounds out the top dozen. And from there, 13th, Ross Cato, who finished 2nd in the Octane Series Championship and 2nd, first ever time we went here in these cars. Bobby Keith, immediately after Cato, is going to find himself 14th on the IORA. P15, Woody Mahan, Eric Thornton in 16th, 17th, Brian Yazik, Chris Muth, 18th. 19th and 20th will be Brock Potter and Matt Sizzler with 21st, Jacob Fife, Aaron Eads, 22nd, Josh Gallagher and Chad Dillon, right ahead of Kyle Cooper for 25th. Nate Campbell, Brian Greenlee, Don Runkle, Eli Cars, and Matt Jonas make up the final drivers of the top 30. Then from there, Sean Kalist, John Steele, Brian Perry, Taylor Story, and Brad Patton for the top 35. Blake Cannon is 36th. Then you'll have 37th and 38th, the final 2 drivers on the starting grid, Jay Aishman and Randy Fiash. 28 drivers, well, a little bit more than that. Coming in now at exactly 38 starters for tonight's event. Welcome back to the Phoenix Raceway. We're ready in less than 5 minutes to go green in the deserts. Now let's take a ride on board with one of these drivers, currently top of the board, Cody Smith. Fastest time set so far, and he's number 18. Take a look ahead. Currently, Cody Smith at the top of the board with a 27.616, the fastest time he's set in this session. Cody looking rather strong, and he's been a contender many a time before in this track, and of course, this specific configuration. So we're ready to see him do it once again. Cody Smith finding himself first, Patton second, and Kevin Bernheimer now P3 on the order. Of course, practice time's not often indicative of who gets the job done, but it looks like right now, Bernheimer and company up front looking very strong with their short run pace. Less than a minute now left on the clock as drivers go by one final time. Cody Smith still at it. 17 drivers have taken the time, going back to Taylor Story once again. John Steele now on the way, making it past the brand new back straightaway. While not necessarily brand new, reconfiguration to Phoenix Raceway just about 8 years ago, making the iconic circuit a little bit different. Out of turn 4, immediately into the start-finish line during a corner. An interesting choice for sure, and it makes an even more unique circuit than it once was. "32 seconds left on the clock. Cody Smith still taking his extra laps here, and he looks very comfortable as it stands. Kevin Bernheimer making his way into that number 28. Brian Yazik is going to be 4th. Paul Mikolajczyk is now P5. Nicholas Ward is in 6th. Gap overall from first to last in this session coming in at about 1.1 seconds. Going back to the tail end in Taylor Story and his number 30. But at the line once more, it'll be Cody Smith, the fastest man of the hour, in final practice, only to be usurped by Scott Eckridge. Eckridge with a quick time, 27.487, which would have been good for P6 on the qualifying charts. Practice and qualifying have concluded, and it's about time now we head to your main event. 156 laps on the table for 156 miles. Strategy should be pretty simple. If we stay under green, we might see as extreme as a 50-50-50 split for drivers to go the distance here. Cody Smith and many others now getting to the starting grid, and the field is in formation for a night's worth of racing in Phoenix. Track conditions of note. Keep in mind as the race goes on, but currently it appears that, much like Atlanta, sunny but mild. Ambient temperature coming in at 73 degrees. Track temp at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Looks like right now, drivers shouldn't have to worry all too much again about their climate on the circuit. Emphasis comes, once again, on individual driver skill. Ethan Lane tried to make the comeback work on a late running strategy. Couldn't quite get it there beforehand. And it looks like tonight, he's going for redemption. One win already. It is modern running in 2025. Wasn't able to get it last week in the Ignite Series. We talk about last week as if it was yesterday, and the week prior at the Circuit of the Americas. Ethan Lane and Jared Davis, positions 1 and 2, ready to get the ball rolling. With Lane up in front, he's got no choice now but to defend. Ethan was not with us the last time the Next-Gen took to this track in November of 2023. It's been more than a year and a half ever since then. Now it's time to get things moving and bring the number 6 to victory lane. If he, of course, hangs on. Stiff competition, including Jared Davis and a former podium sitter at this venue, Smith. Green flag and a fly once again here in Arizona, and Ethan Lane will be your race leader. Welcome back to the Phoenix Raceway. 156 laps ahead of us. Lane leads the green. And immediate trouble as the yellow flag is out. The cause is the back of the field. Caution will fly. We're going to show you exactly what happened. Lap 1 incident. It is your first of the day. And here's a quick look back. Look like his drivers in the front of the field got away clean. You take a look back to guys like Randy Fiash, Jay Haishman, and start to wonder, what happened? Well, it looks like as they go into turns 1 and 2, an immediate stop. Even before we get through that opening lap. Perhaps even before we had much an incident, but drivers will be pulled back into pacing once again. It means we're effectively going to restart this race. And very little changes up front. Lane remains leader. He'll get started once again. Brian Perry now finding himself in that 62 last on track, 39th place. Looks like minimum, if any, damage. Same goes for McFarland and company, as no driver has opted for pit road. So this race will restart at about lap number 6. First caution on the day to open up the race. Still more than 150 laps remain. Ethan Lane and Jared Davis positions 1 and 2. Nolan Potter will be 3rd and Cody Smith will be 4th. Paul Mikolajczyk coming up in that number 77. Lane is ready to get back to business as we are set to go for our restart coming right up. Pit road appears to be entirely empty with the exception of one man and Jay Haishman. Jay decides to be the lonely dissenter, going down to pit road by himself. He'll get himself perhaps slightly more fuel in the tank. We'll see whether or not this strategy pays off for Jay. The 06 coming in from about 38th on track. Not going to sacrifice all too much track position, and instead he'll get the benefit of new full set of fuel and maybe even tires. We'll see what he decides on as he comes out. Nevertheless, Ethan Lane and Jared Davis are positions 1 and 2 and ready to get back to work, this time by. Coming to 1 lap to green, Lane is the man of the hour in qualifying, and the earlier practice sessions might have not been the fastest in last practice, but he was quick when it counted. And so now the number 6 leads the field to green. Hopefully this time by everything comes together a little bit better. A lot of racing room here in Phoenix. Shouldn't be all too much of a worry for drivers to get on their way. Number 6 of Lane, number 19 of Jared Davis, both in blacked out machines tonight. Inside, you've got that Ford Mustang. On the outside, the Chevrolet Camaro. And we'll see which jet black car gets up front on this restart. Ethan had the edge last time by. And now, of course, Jared Davis getting a chance to learn from that and maybe take advantage right up next. Field back to green for restart number 1. Lane and Davis leading Nolan Potter and Cody Smith. Here we go again. Green flag flies, 6 is up and ahead. The rest of the field at his coattails. Ethan Lane getting on the way for our second caution of the night already. Drivers slowing down. And it looks like trouble once again. Yellow flags out. Don Runkle having some damage. Field will back it down once more. Runkle perhaps involved in this one in the 0-0. I'm going to take a quick look back here and show you exactly what the cause was. Back-to-back yellows to get the day rolling. Cautions, breeding cautions to start here in Arizona. Just a look back might give you a little bit of a better understanding as to what exactly happened at the tail end of the field here. Runkle to the inside. With him there, the number 82. That's Eli Cars. Runkle loose, heads down the track, smacks the wall, and then the smoke billows. So it looks like Runkle gets away from the first part of it all. Then from there, more trouble as it looks like Aaron Eads falls out of line and Paul Migolajczyk off pace significantly as well. Take a look at Paul with another angle to show you exactly what happened. Now to the number 77. Like Paul from the mid-pack on down. It's faded to the tail end of the field. And the upper mid-pack at that, starting inside the top 10. It looks like right now, Paul going to hit that early setback. Fighting inside the top 5 of the race lead. Paul was on the inside, diving low, got loose, sent up the track by himself, saved it, then got hit up there with Kevin Bernheimer. Drifted down the track again. Luckily, nobody else made contact, but that is Bernheimer, Don Runkle, and Paul Migolajczyk involved all at once. 3-car incident, and it's your second caution of the day. Early yellows have proven tricky for the field. We'll restart again, this time at lap number 10 of 156. Quickly shaving off the early part of this race and giving a few drivers a shot to come down and in. The field will head green again. Now we're anticipating getting a green flag run. Troubles on the back as drivers get used to the brand new setups. A few major iRacing updates made today. The next gens might be handling just a little bit different, and pushing that limit has been the problem. Now we'll figure out what's to come. Lane and Potter, bottom and top. Here we go again. This time, Jared Davis dethroned from the top 2, but he's still right behind Lane as he kicks things off. Green flag out, third restart of the night, and here we go again. Ethan Lane with a massive breakaway relative to the rest of the field, seeing some 3 wide, even 4 wide here. Sam Nieto, Matt Sizzler, Kyle Cooper, toe-to-toe-to-toe once again here. Looking a little bit further up and ahead, you'll also have Cody Smith, who is single to the inside. Third place now, and he's got Scott Eckrich, your defending winner, right behind him. Undoubtedly bursting onto the scene with last week's victory, leading from flag to flag. Scott Eckrich now a force to be reckoned with, and he's hoping to prove that's not only on the road courses where Scott will prove a competitor, but now with that confidence of knowing he can win, he's settling in very nicely up in front. Eckrich currently P4, hasn't left the top 5 in these opening laps. With him will be Nick Tarbuck, Brian Yazik, and Bobby Keith. Bobby Keith making a very strong start in the number 92, his best of the season so far. The Ford Performance number 92 is anticipating maybe a little bit of assistance now from Ford Performance scheme mate, as we call it. Ross Cato in his early races in the Integrity OCTANE Series ran the exact same paint scheme that number 92 of Bobby Keith runs to this day. It's a little bit more eccentric, shall we say now. The blue gradients all over that number 12, but Ross Cato is one of the most successful drivers, bar none, in the Octane Series. One-time race winner and notably second place in the 2023 championship. He was an inaugural title fighter, and he made his case very well known here at Phoenix, leading the better part of 40-plus laps on the day before being overtaken late by Seth Noel. And that, of course, was the difference maker. Third caution of the night now, 13 laps in, and drivers are not getting the grips well with this circuit. Chad Dillon at pit road here. Find out why. Another incident. Take a look now with Chad Dillon in the number 32, backing it down to pit road. He was already on pit road at the time of the wreck, it appears, but you take a look a little bit further back, and you'll see what happens. Contact and a little bit of smoke and mirrors here as drivers head their way into it. That contact gives way for, it looks like, Eric McFarland potentially. Yes, he went up the track and down it. Taylor Story also with a violent hit. And the number 30 scuffed up on the front end. One more replay which shows you both of their perspectives here. It's like Taylor Story mangled early here. Number 30 of Story was running down that back straightaway, headed to the inside on Sean Kalist. And these mid-pack affairs seem to be where the trouble began, running for about 25th on track at that time. And Taylor now scored 28th as a result of this incident. See him diving in, already a little bit smoky on the way through. And as he went through, number 30 dives low, and it looks like he drifts high and spins down to the bottom of the track. Caution's out. It is your third of the day here. Fortunately, the restarts have taken a dominant grip of this race. And Lane's still your leader, but cautions have played the dominant force in these strategy calls just the starts. Across the line, Lane, Potter, Smith. 1, 2, 3. And now, one lap to green. The average stint length so far tonight has been just about 5 laps under green. Not the best average so far. We're hoping to get that number up. Ethan Lane has led every lap so far. Got a cast of characters accompany him. In second place, Nolan Potter, who was desperately looking for the top spot. Let's see now what the field can do. Another double file attempt. And maybe a chance now to get even with Ethan Lane or better. Here's to a change as the field goes green once more. Lane on the bottom. Ryan Potter up top. And it's about time for your third official restart on the day here. Yellow flag is out for the 4th time tonight. Don Stevenson slides low. He is not the cause of caution. However, if you look at Kevin Bernheimer, I think we got our culprit here. Another wreck. A very fast one at that. 4 consecutive yellows. Take a look at this. And it should be self-explanatory as we watch this replay. Getting the ball rolling in the number 28, Bernheimer was in the back and looking to make some early moves as he dives down and in. But as he gets away, what looks like behind him, One man absolutely does not. That was Eric Thornton who got spun. One more time now, looking from Eric Thornton's perspective. The 99 was trying so hard to get back up to the restart zone, it looks like as he got there, he made a significant error. Watch now as Thornton finds himself in trouble just through turns 1 and 2. Chain reaction up front. Contact from the 22 of steel. And right up high up the circuit. That is your 4th caution in less than 20 laps. Perhaps our most wreck-filled start of a race. And that's something we never like to say. Fortunately, it looks like that is the truth to open up the day here. Coming to green. Restart number 4 for lap number 21. Lane and now Cody Smith are first and second. Potter resigns for third. And notably, Jared Davis decides to take a full-on back seat. Now in 13th in the mid-pack. Cody's first time sitting up in front. And let's see now what he makes of it. He's getting the opportunity many a driver before him have. Nobody yet has been able to capitalize and take the position. Next Level Racing's Cody Smith getting ready to roll once again. 1 to green, lap number 21, the site of our 4th caution, and subsequently our 4th restart. As the entire field lines up, very few retirees so far, it looks like. Chad Dillon is 7 laps down, but still on the track. Rest of the field still with us now, as we are ready to get rolling. 21 laps in out of 156, and we're hoping to break that dry spell of no green flag laps in between. Here we go again with Lane in control. Brock Potter finding himself 3 abreast now with the number 20 of Zach Scrintinol and Sam Nieto. And it looks like right now, just a little bit of weaving and bobbing back and forth between these drivers, but nothing significant. Scrintinol is going to be on the inside as Brock Potter gets shaken up top. And it looks like this time around, maybe a chance to finally break that streak. Lane gets away well. Cody Smith falls back to 3rd. That gives Milton Potter the better jump once again. Jared Davis now coming up to the outside of Matt Sizzler. Moreover, you got Nicholas Ward running to the low side of Bobby Keith. The top 10 battles have remained intense. Although we haven't gotten enough time to develop them just yet, we are expecting to see this group of drivers, say the next 10 or 15 behind leader Lane, battle each other all night long. The test of attrition has hopefully come to pass with those early yellow flags, but now the rest of the field can focus on straight-up performance, which is almost always a lot more exciting than what we typically see as we go for pace laps time and time again. Nobody really wants to see, although now Ethan Lane is going to battle for the race lead. Brock Potter, ever the opportunist, takes the race lead all by himself. And now that's going to leave Potter P2 and 3rd Cody Smith. Ethan Lane is not a stranger at all to backing off and letting things move, of course, in one proper direction. Letting the race come to him later with tire strategy is the end goal. 34 of Brock Potter, maybe less experienced, a rookie in the Integrity Racing League, not going for that strategy, instead laying it all out on the line and using his full aggression to get in front. "25 laps in out of 156. Top 10 now spread out by about 2.5 seconds. Blake Cannon, the last of which, and coming off once again a very strong race last night. Now a 2-time Ignite Series winner, Blake Cannon has made a very strong mark in his return to the Integrity Racing League. Part-time driver in both series last time by. Don Stevenson having a little bit of trouble there. That's the 47 Looks like he'll get back on the way, sliding back up. Focus once again, though, on Cannon here. He is proving once more he's got what it takes with that versatility factor. No matter what type of car, no matter what track, he's always going to be up there, although not qualifying perhaps the best of his efforts. The number 44 has race pace in spades. Up on the day so far, 36th up to 10th. He's gone from the outside, and he's now looking in from the very back of the field up in front. That is Blake Cannon, and he's your biggest mover so far, up 26 so far on the day. Nolan Potter going to remain the race leader here by less than a tenth of a second margin. Ethan Lane heads to the inside. Nolan Potter can't quite get it done now. He's going to have to let the number 6 through. Ryan Potter, not in this race, but a familiar face and a familiar last name. Nolan Potter is now to the point again. And the race lead now swapping 2 times in the last 2 laps. Lane, perhaps a little bit more feisty than he was last night. He's letting Potter get some chances, but he's diving in whenever possible. There's a healthy balance up in front. One driver down and in. That looks to be Kevin Bernheimer heading to pit road here. Bernheimer in some significant trouble. You'll see the 28 heading to pit road here. Could be one of the first retirees on the day. Don Runkle already off of the circuit. And now, Bernheimer makes his way in. Nolan Potter up top. Number 6 of Ethan Lane right down low. Side by side even still. Cody Smith has the best seat in the house, however. Take a ride on board now at that number 18 as we watch Cody Smith get to work. Cody Smith watching again, just from the backside of the leading fight. Nolan Potter again has the minor advantage. Ethan Lane letting him take it for now. Here comes the number 6, shooting up top. Lane to the point. Nolan Potter once again making a minor misstep. Nothing all too significant though in that Toyota Camry. Now going to use that bottom groove to collect himself once again. Inside line having that big gimmick here at the Phoenix Raceway in that the driver of the number 34, well, he can go all the way down to nearly the exit of pit road. It's called a dogleg, and it's been in use now for the better part of a decade plus. Drivers can dive down as deep as they'd like to cut some distance and keep themselves in the battle. That time through, it only proves a negative. Ethan Lane now to the point, and Cody Smith with him. First and second now, the number 6 and number 18. Cannon now up to the single digits in P8, getting by Ross Cato and notably Jared Davis. Davis getting back up from a low of 13th up to 10th once again. And it looks like right now very little damage on that number 19, so he must have made a restart error amid the sea of cautions, and that's going to put him back significantly here. Still has pace, and relatively speaking, he has a very clean car. That's something he can absolutely use to his advantage as the day progresses here. The 19 of Jared Davis right on the back end for 10th. Meanwhile, Bobby Keith a little bit further behind right now in the 92, and that's where that breakaway starts to show. Brad Patton, while he's had speed so far this season, he's been involved in 2 consecutive race-ending incidents in the last 2 weeks in Atlanta and the Circuit of the Americas, respectively. He's looking to get himself back in the mix again. And it looks like tonight running respectively inside the top 15 and respectively at that. Goal tonight, a top 10 if not higher. The Wanted Goons machine expects victory, expects top 5s. He's a veteran. He's been to victory lane before. Why not show he's got the stuff? Now comes up to the outside on Bobby Keith. Keith now has no choice but to let him slide, and Brad Patton swiftly makes the move. That's for 12th. Nick Tarbuck going to be 5th place even still for Domination Intimidation Racing. Doesn't have many a teammate to work with tonight. We don't see Chad Mikus on the racing circuit. However, DIR still showing up in force. Tarbuck, the leading driver in the Octane Series historically. Looks like so far he's keeping up that mentality and keeping up that performance this year as well. Fourth place. He's wanting to get in there. He's already got himself a podium on the season. Why not step up a little higher and find that victory? That's the goal right now for the 4. But Scott Eckridge, last week's winner, now blocking heavy. Nick Tarbuck here, still going to be just behind Eckridge. Nolan Potter has faded back into 3rd place, and although it looked like he previously had the stuff to challenge Ethan Lane consistently, well, that continuous battle has ceased to exist. In fact, it looks like right now Potter is on the way down, and he's going to be taking that negative trend, hopefully not to the checkered flag, but he's going to have to wait for that strategy call to come in mind. And of course, pit stop strategy going to be critical tonight. And I'm sure that Potter knows it. And of course, leader Ethan Lane, who will most likely dictate strategy, has to keep in mind everything as well. We're expecting to see multiple opportunities to split this race. One chance we have is to go for the route of splitting it up on the basis of 1/2, which would be about 75 to 80 laps. Unlikely that proves to work out fully, but drivers who want to stretch it out as long as possible might go for up to 65 to 70, trying to conserve the distance to go all the way. The more likely strategy call will be the safer one, which will be splitting this race up effectively into thirds, going into about lap 50, coming in once again at about lap number 100, and then finishing the job on a 56, give or take, lap strategy. Seen it happen before in that sense. Of course, we've seen drivers try to go for the big split. But right now, everyone keeping their poker face on, as we still have more than 10 laps to determine whether or not the pit road window opens now. We'll just have to keep on waiting here in the broadcast booth. Ross Cato heads up high, and with him now, Jared Davis to the inside again. Jared has not been able to break back into the single digits just yet, and while he's kept them all close, he hasn't been able to make that move that will certify him as one of the drivers from 1st down to 9th. As high as previously 2nd place. Davis working his way back up, but when you're on that reconstruction run, a lot more challenging than when you just have the track position to begin with. Woody Mahan also keeping him honest in number 49, and even Brad Patton joining the mix here. Take a ride on board now with Davis on the back end. You'll see that pressure is increasingly mounting. Watching aboard now in the final few moments of stint number 1. 43 laps in, out of 156, it is still Ethan Lane with dominant control. Cody Smith running in 2nd. Nolan Potter there in 3rd. A little bit further back, some close battles include Jacob Fife right now for 15th, just getting by the number 14 of Brock Potter. Lower position Potter. Number 14 here. Looks like Jacob just making the move into the top 15, and he's got his eyes set next on Matt Sizzler in the 93. Matt getting away with one of those very early cautions by the skin of his teeth, and he's taking that recovery run to new heights, getting up to 14th place right now for the 93. Relative to where he started, Matt is up 6 on the day, whereas Jacob Fife is up multiple spots as well. Nate Campbell notably now going to be up 15th. Of course, he's gone 2 P11, 15 spots gained from 26th on the starting grid. And for the mid-pack on, Nate Campbell again showing his stuff. One top 3 on the season, and of course he's working with Scott Eckridge, last week's race winner. Looking for some of these new teams to really come into their own, and for Campbell and Eckridge, they're a dynamic duo who are showing very strong promise. Very early promise this year. Again, 4 races in out of a total of 30 on the calendar. It's impressive to see some of these guys already gunning up front, even if they are brand new. Ethan Lane coming across the line to make it lap number 47, still up and away. Nolan Potter is going to be 3rd. Scott Eckridge is 4th. Nick Tarbuck, Blake Cannon, 5 and 6. Even the tail end of the field right now having some exciting battles. This is for 28th. Jay Haishman now going to be with Kyle Cooper. Cooper falling back a little bit further than he would like. Same goes for Haishman. However, Jay is going to be in a slightly different strategy. He went down to pit road after the first yellow flag of the day. Slightly fresher rubber. Looks like so far hasn't paid off for any major gains to get up to the front of the field. I think that's, well, of course, that's the end goal right now for Haishman. It just hasn't worked out as his pace too significant a difference for things to work out, and the tires too close to one another to make a big impact as well. So Haishman's going to find himself 28th spot. Kyle Cooper going to be 27th. John Kalis, number 90, will be alone in 26th. And the ailing, number 77, Paul Mikolajczyk, with that front end damage, runs 25th place as it stands. 48 laps in out of 156, coming up nearly on that 1/3 marker. And right now it's pretty clear cut who's been the dominant man, but we'll see how much longer he lasts. Lane to the inside now on John Steele, already putting lappers down under green. Ethan Lane gets by cleanly, and he brings with him now Cody Smith in second. Now as the field arrives to lap number 50, we got to watch out for those pit signals and whether or not drivers decide to go down and in. We're expecting either one of two strategies, splitting this race up to thirds and seeing pit road getting very busy in the next coming laps, or to go just about 20 more laps, try to get to the very end on just one pit stop. Right now, no telling which way we go. And with no fuel restriction, it really could go either way as drivers continue to prepare themselves for the most important moment of the event. Heading down and in, finishing off that first stint and continuing from here for however long it ends up lasting. Nick Tarbuck getting a little bit closer now to Scott Eckridge, but notably now Eckridge putting the pressure on Nolan Potter. And this is the fight for P3. Eckridge staying about 2.5 car lengths back. Watch on board now with that number 70 as he makes his move. Potter waiting in the wings here for some defensive maneuvers. Hasn't needed to make any just yet, but Eckridge is approaching. The gap between Eckridge and Nolan Potter, give or take 0.2 of a second at the line, and it's been slightly diminishing over the last several laps. That time by, Eckridge approximately 41 thousandths of a second quicker than Brock Potter. Rather, Nolan Potter up at the front of the field. All the while, Cody Smith now is getting closer and closer again to Ethan Lane. Lane right now either backing off to save more stuff and give it a fool's run, or Cody Smith really has what it takes here, and Lane has burnt himself up and out. And we might just see one of the guys, perhaps labeled an underdog, coming in, get the job. What's most interesting is, of course, that Cody Smith often cites his strongest track as the Phoenix Raceway. We've seen him here many a time before, running inside the top 3, giving top 5 runs regularly, of course, with no hesitation. And tonight, more of the same. But with that stacked competition ahead of him to start, it looked like it would be a little bit more work for him to get up to the front of the field and make it to this point. Well, tonight, at least to hang there in second, it has been no sweating for the number 18. He is still comfortably P2. And Ethan Lane, not been let off the hook in the slightest. Jacob 5 dives 3. Right behind him, Brian Yazik and Matt Sisler just there. And Brock Potter more the same. 3 drivers passing that cycle. Fife getting himself right now up into 13th at the line. Jacob still making moves from outside the top 30. And talk about a wonderful race so far for the Sim Motion 36, your league owner. The all-time most experienced driver in the Integrity Racing League. 1 race win so far on the season, getting in Atlanta, already having that in his back pocket, running comfortably right now in 13th in the upper mid-pack. Means all things considered should still be a pretty good points day, as long as he hangs in there till the very end. And that, of course, remains the biggest challenge. How long can a driver stay up in front? Even if you're up and fast in the opening stint, strategy messes up many a good driver. We've seen it happen before. Even guys like Ethan Lane have made significant mistakes up at the front of the field. And it cost Thomas Bressi and DJ Stagner a chance to fight it head-to-head for the championship in 2023. And for Stagner, it almost cost him the title outright. Drivers have to be mindful of that. Pit road will remain critical, and you have to execute with perfection by the time you go down and in. Cody Smith goes up high, and that's going to leave Scott Eckrich now with a chance in second place. Number 70 up to P2. The second time tonight, got a chance up in front previously. Now it looks like your defending race winner wants to take a stab at it to go for 2 consecutive, much like Blake Cannon did in the Ignite Series. To the inside now for Eckrich, and he is firmly in second place. Ethan Lane is once again broken away, however, and it looks like there is no competition up and ahead. Quarter of a second now separating Jared Davis from Blake Cannon. Cannon making the advantageous maneuver. Gets Blake up into 6th now. He's been climbing all the way up from 36th on, from the very back of the field now to the single digits and very nearly a top 5. If Blake still has the stuff in these next 15 laps, he very well could take the top 5 before we even head down to pit road, and that would be perhaps the most impressive run of anyone on this initial stint. Toe-to-toe. Golden Potter to the inside. Cody Smith right up high, and at the stripe, minor edge even still for Cody Smith. .61 laps in out of 156. That halfway point coming in at give or take lap number 78 here. Getting closer and closer after those opening 4 consecutive cautions. And now the green flag running is settling quite nicely. Drivers getting to grips with their equipment and putting on a good show up in front. Ethan Lane, no exception, although now Eckrich is once again on his back bumper. Take a look from the rear view as the number 70 drives in close. Eckrich now side by side for the race lead. The number 70 careening down the back straightaway should have the edge into turns 3 and 4. Looks like now for Eckrich for the first time all night long under green, and for passing might have a shot. He'll dive deep. Number 70 low. Lane all the way down to the bottom of the paint, but he'll go no further. And it's a division between strategy, a difference between racecraft now. It's becoming a more fundamental difference as the night progresses here. Eckrich to the race lead. Ethan Lane now running second. Take a ride on board now with the number 6 as he runs P2. Ethan Lane with a minor bobble there. He's going to fall just a little bit further back now on Scott Eckrich. And the number 70 beginning to break away. How about this for a long-term game? And it looks like for now, Eckrich out-finessing the number 6 of Lane. To the point now, 65 laps in. He has give or take 10 more laps to go till he can head to pit road and hit that magic number. At which point we'll know that everyone in the field can make it to the end of the race in one piece. Eckrich still leads. Now a little bit further back, side by side. That's going to be Brad Patton and Brock Potter. This is now for the 14th position. Potter low, Patton up high. And it looks like the advantage going at Brock right now for that number 14. Just a slightly better drive out of the corner, and that's going to keep him there, even though Brad Patton uses turns 1 and 2 to his advantage. He's going to sail up top, something every driver who's been using that high groove has gotten much better at as the night goes on. And learning your groove has proven instrumental all throughout the night. If you're down on the bottom, you got to work to learn how to cut time efficiently. You're on the high side. You got to use that high side like a slingshot. Take it to the top groove. Get on your way. Not easy in the slightest as Brad Patton now gets in the wall. Sam Nieto and Don Stevenson both pass. That puts Brad now to 16th place. Patton's going to slide to the inside of the track and head down to pit road. Another critical incident now for the number 7 team And he heads down and in with damaged suspension. It appears slightly off camber there. The right front is all but done for, and Patton's going to have to give it up once again from the front of the field. Meanwhile, leaders are going to come by again for lap number 69 out of 156. Although Ethan Lane was dominant to start, it looks like now Scott Eckridge pulling away with a nice lead to the point again. He's got the field now with less than 10 laps until the halfway marker. More importantly, less than 10 laps until just about every driver heads to pit road and goes in for their one and only potentially green flag stop. Eckridge now having a lead of more than a second over Ethan Lane. Lane lies back. Nick Tarbuck, not so much. He's trying to get up there and maybe take that second place position. Not going to be an easy one to grab. The inside. Here comes Tarbuck. And with him comes the number 6 of Ethan Lane, but this time it's the number 6 behind. .70 laps in out of 156, and here you have it. Nick Tarbuck now P2, Lane back down to a lowest he's run all night long in third, and pit strategy is going to come into play real quickly here. Eckridge has the advantage, and we'll start monitoring on the left side of your screen who decides to go in and when. Notably, Woody Mahan assigned to go in as of late. Nobody inside the top 15 has done so far, but Chris Muth, Kyle Cooper, Brad Patton, and John Steele, all examples of guys who have made their way to pit road. Front of the field, however, no takers, and Eckridge keeps that trend up for 72. Brian Perry, lapper in the number 62 here, going to be put one down, but it looks like he's on the way back up. Just got himself some new rubber, it appears, and Perry's going to get back on his way, looking to reverse the cycle here and get back on the lead lap as soon as possible. Slowly but surely, you'll see many a driver doing just that. Watch again on the left side of your screen. When it says 0, it means a driver has not gotten the pit road yet. Any other number means exactly when the driver decides to head down and in. So we're expecting a yellow flag this time by 5th of the day. And at your halfway marker, we've got trouble. Eli Cars looks to be the culprit. Take a look back. And your instant replay will show you what happened with Eli Cars and number 82. As it looks like he was coming out of pit road just before the time of the wreck and ends up sliding here. Number 82 on the way. Car is going to be scored right now, give or take 35th. And you'll see him get on the move. Maybe having some trouble with that new rubber as soon as he got off. Coming past pit exit, number 82 of Eli Cars making it out. And as he did so, was there an issue? Looks like, officially speaking, not seeing anything there, but the yellow flag flew at the time of his exit. So trying to find out who officially is the cause here, as the caution is out. Take it for a wide-angle look one more time, and we'll try to determine what happened to bring out yellow flag number 5 on the day here from Phoenix. See right there. There comes Eli Cars. Meanwhile, some tight battling in the mid-pack. And his drivers made it through. It looks like, for the time being, almost everyone gets away just fine. Looking for the front to the mid-pack. Not seeing any significant damage on any driver. Even watching those in the back of the field. Woody Mahan now in company. 2 laps down, he's scored. But the yellow flag is out. Caution flies for the 5th time today. So drivers are heading down to pit road for their midway stints. This time through, let's see who makes it out first, because this is going to prove a critical one. Perhaps the most important pit stops of the night. Everyone comes down and in, and only one will come out first. It appears it'll be Scott Eckridge, Nick Tarbuck, Ethan Lane, Ross Cato, and just behind him, Ethan Lane and Nate Campbell. 1 lap to green with Eckrich in front. We'll restart at lap number 77 here. So we've got just about exactly halfway remaining in this event to finish the job here in the field. Two by two from new leader Eckrich on down as he awaits a chance for his 2nd consecutive win. The iRacing official pace car dumps down low, and it's about time now. Scott Eckrich brings the field back to green, 5th yellow flag of the day, and it will be the first to introduce us now to the second half of this race. For the first time in a restart, Ethan Lane is not on the front row. Instead, he finds himself 2 rows back with Jared Davis. Lane, in fact, is just a row behind, and then you got Davis 2 back on him. Eckrich gets the pole, and we are good to go once again. Lap number 77 and restart number 5. Green flag for Scott Eckrich. Three wide, and once again, drivers bundling up as close as they've been. Looks like now you're going to see Cody Smith in the mix with Bobby Keith and company. Double file for the majority of this top 10 and top 15 combination. And it even extends back to the farther reaches of the top 25. But overall, Eckrich gets up and away. Lane is back to 2nd. And now Nick Tarbuck will take himself to the 3rd spot. Looking to capitalize on some continually improving position here in that number 4. Eckrich with a car length this time by. And we're getting closer now to the very final laps of this race. Lap 80 awaits here. And Eckrich is your race leader. And it looks like he's turned something on, especially coming right before the pit cycle. Able to grab the race lead and now use track position to his advantage. Finding himself advantageous after all these laps. Scott Eckrich sees the yellow flag out once again. It is your 6th caution of the day. And into the back of the field once again. Issues. It appears perhaps for Josh Gallagher in the 96. Take a look back now with Gallagher. He was in the middle of the field at the time of the wreck. About the mid-20s, and you see him right there. He was on pit road. So what happened further on back in the field remains the question. But the answer looks to be with the 49. Woody Mahan, watch out now. Comes down and in. Enters turns 1 and 2. And as he does so here, contact ahead with Randy Fiash and Kyle Cooper. That'll send him spinning. 2 drivers hooked up to the top of the wall, and notably it looks like one other caught with them. That was Blake Cannon. Up top as well, John Steele in the mix. Yellow out for your 6th of the day. Caution at lap number 80. A little bit of time to spare here live on FTN, so bring you some non-stop coverage brought to you by Whiplash SimCams, which means you won't miss a thing. When we're under yellow, we'll show you the racing action as drivers get themselves collected and give you some messages from our partners and associates who make these broadcasts happen. You're watching the Phoenix 156 live on FTN here with the Integrity OCTANE Series, and we will return right after this.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Restart number 6. Eckrich again in control. But you can see now on the outside, Ethan Lane back up front. Here we go again for lap number 80. And it's going to be Eckrich and Lane side by side. Green flag for restart number 6 here. And number 70, Scott Eckrich, takes it to the point once again. Watch out now. Ethan Lane going to be feisty, but Nick Tarbuck calls his bluff. Scott Eckrich finding himself in a great position here. Of course, race leading, but Nick Tarbuck now putting even more pressure than he has all night long. The number 4 now diving to the inside. Can't quite get there. He'll have to back off once again. Ross Cato now running up in 3rd, the highest he's run all night long. Take a ride on board with a former P2 finisher at this venue. It is notable to add that Ross Cato finished 2nd here at Phoenix the last time we raced here with the Next Gen. So of all the drivers who are in the field, he knows what it's like in these specific conditions, exactly how to execute when it gets late. Perhaps he wasn't the strongest driver earlier in that race, but in the final 50-some laps, he really turned on the jets and got himself through for a podium. That's exactly the mindset right now for Scott Eckrich, turning it on and keeping it there. Ethan Lane falls back to 4th, and it looks like Jared Davis now is going to be heading down a pit road, and Davis has significant trouble as he makes his way in after only a 10-lap stint, and I'm not quite sure why, but it looks like for Davis, his race might be all but over. Take a look back now with an instant replay with that number 19. Davis, and his chance for a victory has been squashed. Sent down into pit road and shot in there. Nick Tarbuck getting away from it, but the number 4, of course, is the only one to do so. Jared Davis now to the inside of the track, and it looks like his night up front has come to its conclusion. Horrible news, of course, for Davis, who ran so strong inside the top 5, but it looks like right now the battle rages on up in front. While Davis gets extensive damage repairs, Scott Eckrich remains your race leader. Comes across the line, lap 87 out of 156. Make that lap 158. The final 50 are approaching rapidly here. Taking a ride on board, perhaps another driver. Let's take a look at the bottom half of the top 10. Bobby Keith right now in 9th, and he's got pressure from Jacob Fife. However, it looks like that's the pressure up front of trying to catch him. Take a lap on board now with the number 92 and tell us what you think. Keith still charging hard, finding himself P9, trying to catch up to the boss man and Jacob Fife. Still no luck just yet. Tom Wetmore in the chat room, welcome, and by, of course, stopping in a little bit late to this one, but you have missed some critical moments. Jared Davis, just about 5 laps ago, wrecking out from the podium. Contact at the front of the field, shot him to the inside of pit road, and that was all she wrote. Meanwhile, it looks like Scott Eckrich has proven dominant from lap 60 onward. And Scott is looking for his 2nd consecutive victory on the season. And he's proving that he's not just a road course ringer, but instead one of the top dogs in this series. And looking to replicate what Blake Cannon did last night, going 2 for 2 in 2 consecutive weeks. Of course, tonight, not all too much a dominant performance, shall we say, in terms of the numbers. I mean, Eckrich won by more than half a minute last race. That's almost something you can't pull off at a track like Phoenix, unless you're in a significantly faster car. But tonight for Eckrich, it looks like that half-second gap is more than enough. As long as he doesn't make any significant errors, stays exactly where he is, he should be just fine. Ethan Lane right now going to be fourth, a little bit further behind from his pole position start. And although he led the opening 40-some laps, he hasn't quite been able to recover to get that top seed once again. Looks like instead, he's running in the top 5, but with no claim to the race lead, at least in the immediate. "94 laps in out of 156, Lane remains fourth. Watching further back, Brian Greenlee just opted down and in. And it looks like for his sake, it is damage as well, minor on that right front. So Brian Greenlee in trouble. Here's a replay, and it should give you the answers as the number 38 falls out of competition here. Watch this. Trying to figure out exactly what caused it here for the Greenlee machine. Green running 24th at the time of it. And he dropped down to pit road, and looks like that's it. A little bit of scuffing on the quarter panel. Nothing all too significant, able to make his way in there in one piece. There goes Brian Greenlee. Scott Eckrich still leading, and he's looking to take it there to the triple-digit marker, lap 100. Nick Tarbuck is still chasing, but it looks like Eckrich having some minor internet troubles as you're trying to focus on him. All things considered, those have been minor blips and nothing too serious, so he should be just fine to continue even with some small problems and hiccups coming up a time or two. Nolan Potter and Brock Potter now going to find themselves 5th and 6th respectively. 3 Potters have registered in the history of the Integrity OCTANE Series. Nolan Potter, Brock Potter, and perhaps the best known, Ryan Potter. But tonight, Nolan Potter's been at the front of the field for the better part of the entire day. From the lap 1, he got up to as high as 2nd on the opening restarts, and he is still here running in 5th. Nolan has shown that determination to stay up with the best of them, even if he's faded back ever so slightly. But his strategy calls have been excellent to stay among the likes of Ethan Lane and Ross Cato, who have all kept themselves perfect and just hitting marks. Right now, in the dying laps ahead of us, that is the end goal. Just hit your marks and finish things off nicely. Sam Nieto seeing Jacob Fife head up high, and here comes that number 36. Fife with a move up top. Now, it looks like up next would be Brock Potter. If Jacob can keep the good times rolling, take a ride on board briefly, we'll see if he can. Jacob Fife still right there. Last time by, he was give or take a half a tenth of a second quicker. 27.78 compared to a 27.82. The numbers don't lie. Jacob Fife has something going here, and it might be critical to the rest of the day. Scott Eckrich coming around for what will be only 56 laps to go. Now that we passed lap 100, we'd like to thank our friends and partners at iRacing Motorsport Simulations for bringing you the action today. A major update to iRacing, bringing brand new ARCA cars to the platform. Graphical and handling updates for more than 50 cars in total. So check them out today at iRacing.com and learn how to register to start your sim racing career. As always, as the year goes on, we'll keep you updated when any big sales coming up. Hopefully some coming for the spring months, and we'll let you know when it's the perfect time to buy in and become a sim racer just like all the guys here on FTN. Now 55 laps remaining, you're watching the Integrity OCTANE Series Phoenix 156, and we will return right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Lap 105 now for Scott Eckrich, your race leader. We're coming close to less than 50 laps remaining here in Phoenix. All things considered, the battle for the race lead has been squared out for the most part anyway. Not seeing any significant surprises. Ethan Lane has fallen off into third. Nick Tarbuck now finding himself running in second. Ross Cato on the positive. He's up to P4 and he's been fighting around the podium. Pottos are fifth and sixth, but otherwise, things have remained relatively stable at the front of the field. Here now is Nicholas Ward going to the inside of Matt Sizzler. And it looks like right now, Matt making his move up top. Can't quite get it without a mistake, and he will get one. That's the 97 of Nicholas Ward. Ward now falls back behind Kevin Bernheimer. That will not be for position. Nicholas, nevertheless, is in 12th place right now. It looks like even though the competition has only increased here in the Integrity OCTANE Series, Nicholas Ward has remained a very solid, very consistent, just outside the top 10 guy, which becomes even more impressive as even better drivers show up on a continuous basis here. And of course, with Bernheimer just ahead and the chance to recover from that mistake, he'll be up inside the top 10 in no time, as long as he follows the ever quicker Matt Sizzler or Bobby Keith. Scott Eckrich coming across the line. 49 laps to go this time through. Brian Greenlee in the chat room as well. Thank you for stopping by. Unfortunately, tagged on the right rear. Got loose, and that was the end of the show for the number 38 of Greenlee. Right now, retired in 31st position. Looks like no chance to improve for the remainder of the night, and he'll have to head it back next week to try and get himself a little bit of a better performance. Of course, that's the intention for the Greenlee crew from here. 48 laps to go, 1.1 seconds. The gap between Ethan Lane and Scott Eckrich. Nick Tarbuck has not been able to make it close just yet with Lane, but last time by, it looks like he was 0.4 of a second slower. So not nearly enough to take that advantage, shall we say. As a matter of fact, it looks like he is moving in reverse, which is a bad sign if we want to see any battles for the podium. Instead, it looks like right now, things are going to remain rather stagnant. Surely guys like Tarbuck would hate to see that, but for Ethan Lane, who's again off of the pole position, of course he qualified P1, and now not racing it, I don't think he'd like to lose any other positions, as he once again drops one so far on the day. Two back-to-back, of course, runner-up finishes are not a bad performance in terms of two composite races by any means, but perhaps for Ethan Lane, he's setting the standard a little bit higher. Looking to go back at it and win more than 14 races this year, as he did last season. The most dominant driver we've ever seen in the Integrity Racing League. And doing so with less than 30 complete starts. Nearly winning 50% of races and only making about 60% of the starts was an undeniable testament of his speed and performance all throughout. And if Ethan is looking forward to making each and every race, well, I think we might see even a little bit better than that. Perhaps more than 14 wins, if only he can step it up for that one additional spot. 45 laps to go. Don Stevenson, Nicholas Ward. Just ahead, Matt Sizzler still fighting. Enter the top 10 with Bobby Keith now holding the keys to the castle. They're dragging him in fast. Bobby right now, the number 92, has to watch his back here because if the battle behind him gets any more vicious, he makes any more mistakes, then he might find himself out of the top 10 and maybe repelled out of the top 15. Once again, Nicholas Ward to the inside and Matt Sizzler there, hoping to keep it side by side at the stripe. Looks like that's the case. 44 laps to go. toe-to-toe again. And Ward gets the slight edge here. Sliding in ever so slightly better. That advantage will go a long distance in the next coming laps here. Practice makes perfect. These drivers, many of which taking more than 50 laps, some of which taking more than 100. Those, of course, who got the most time in, paying off in dividends right now. Nicholas Ward, although he's being pressured, looks like he's hanging just tight. Bobby Keith is ahead for P10, but for 11th place, you can't back down. It could be the final chance you have to make the top 10. .41 laps to go next time by. Scott Eckert remains dominant, and he's looking to close out this race perhaps with more than 100 laps led. Talk about another amazing performance, and it looks like that 0.4 of a second advantage he had earlier, it's nearly fully tripled now, 1.2 seconds, and it looks to be ever growing. Talking about an amazing driver, still doing everything he needs to. Not going to be complacent, not going to let this position stop him from fighting. He's now out there competing with himself, putting some of the best fights, the best laps up on the circuit. He's still pulling away from competitor lane as he comes down with 40 laps to go. Let's take a ride on board now with Eckridge and see the method to the madness up front. Very little movement all around, letting the throttle do all the work. Never heavy on the brakes. And he's using fourth gear just about entirely all the way through. Comfortable, not complacent. And that's why Eckridge is still putting up lap times that are consistently quicker. Ethan Line and the like further back. Ross Cato's still here just ahead of Jacob Fife. This is the battle for sixth. Cato was falling off of the podium scuffle, but it looks like he hasn't lost all too much. Remains inside of the top 10. I'm certain right now that if he could get up to the Potter duo, Brock Potter being first and foremost, that's his final end goal. Bring it up for the top 10. Top 5 at that. Finish the night there and move forward. It would be Cato's best night of the season so far. Undoubtedly a banner night for the Fast Forward Esports crew who desperately need that momentum in the right direction. Why not head back to one of those all-familiar tracks for the number 12 team where he's done it before, and he most likely could do it again. Jacob Fife stays on the backside, but so far he has not been able to make one move. He's gotten close, but he hasn't made a pass. While he's been able to catch up, his aggression maybe not precise enough to get through for a position. That's going to prove as critical as getting up there to the next driver. If you're not able to make a pass effectively, you will fall down the ladder. Even if you might be faster in terms of that natural raw pace, defense is everything. Small track like Phoenix. Matt Sisler, Don Stevenson, 12th and 13th. I'll tell you this much, Stevenson, despite the fact he spun a time or two, impressive to see he's up here inside of the top 15, and better yet, he's in the top dozen. Stevenson, his best race so far this season, P45, up to second place in Atlanta. The biggest mover, and a podium sitter at that. That's Stevenson's crown jewel so far, the two-time former race winner of the Octane Series. Last got it done with the Next-Gens in the October of 2023 with Charlotte Roval. Last got it done in September of 2024 overall. Gen 4s at the Atlanta Miniature Superspeedway. Stevenson likes the fast and exotic. I have to say that when it comes to those track specifications, I think Phoenix fits well. He's had to recover, so a lot of that energy wasted away in the early half. But now, on the right track, putting his efforts towards something productive. And that's why he's up in front right now, looking for a chance to seal the deal inside the top 10. Already in 12th, looking to make 2 more spots at the minimum. Another driver who's recovered significantly had front-end damage to start this race, and now he's back up into P18. That is Paul Mikolajczyk in the number 77, who found himself outside the top 25 after getting banged up front. It looks like even though that was the case, he's instead turned it around for a solid performance. Right in the mid-pack, certainly better than being at the tail end of the field with critical damage. All that time spent repairing, letting the cautions do its thing, and cycling back up made the difference. Patience proves pivotal, and 77 now is inside the top 20. Facing pressure from an additionally damaged Kyle Cooper. See what Cooper can do, however, it looks like he is currently further down on the order. Kyle not going to be key against Paul, at least for now. "32 laps remaining and still ticking down to make it only 31. Scott Eckrich, a man on the mission, and he's looking to finish things and go open and shut for 2 consecutive races. Last year, Blake Cannon, Nick Tarbuck, of course Don Stevenson, Ethan Lane, and that was it. The drivers who got to victory lane. Michael Araya too. Of those who did it back-to-back times, only Michael Araya, Nick Tarbuck, and Ethan Lane. And it looks like tonight, another new face has a chance to be the top driver, and the first of which to get up to that back-to-back honor. Currently, Eckrich remains the strong favorite in the final runs. Less than 30 to go this time by. Sam Nieto finding himself 9th overall. Trying to catch up now to Cody Smith and Jacob Fife. Cato dropping back to P8 and letting the Next Level Racing number 18 of Cody Smith get through. Once again, we'd like to thank our partners and associates live on FTN who are bringing the action to you, and they both have amazing discount codes for high-quality sim racing performance products made for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. It's simple. Go to nextlevelracing.com. They'll provide a $5 discount to any driver, any consumer who wants to use their service for checkout using promo code Integrity24. That's right, check them out today and learn some more in our brand new partner at SimMotion, helping out as a hardware vendor on the external side. Use promo code Integrity at their website and scan the QR code on your screen for an additional 5% off at the SimMotion site, all the same. 28 laps to go this time by. We'd like to thank our partners and associates, Next Level Racing and SimMotion, for bringing the action to you. Eckrich holds fort, and he is right there for the taking. Victory now just a few laps away for a driver who has become a force to be reckoned with in only 2 races. Perhaps wasn't even on our radar to get the overall win last week at the Circuit of the Americas. Coming in, our expectation was Lane and Cannon do what they always do, and do it. But tonight, number 70 proving that not only last week was far from a fluke, but instead, looks like now it's time for a new driver push up to the front of the pack and find race victory. "25 laps to go next time by. Pit stop strategy completed during the midpoint of this race, and it looks like green flag pit stops will not come into play once again. Eckrich across the line for that 25 lap to go marker. Ethan Lane at the line will be officially about 3 seconds back, only falling further now. Eckrich saving his tires the best of anyone, and it looks like his racing strategy will pay off. Maybe not necessarily a gamble, but he played it up front. Took it from lead, of course, of Ethan Lane outright. He ran away, not to be seen again tonight. Ross Cato coming up again now on Cody Smith. This is for 7th place. We'll see now whether or not Ross can gain 1 spot back, where for the time being, that Fast Forward Esports machine is stuck in stalemate, if not worse. Coming to 23 laps to go this time by, and as always with 22 laps remaining, we crank it up with our friends at TrackCams22.com. Of course, that's how it was, but now things have changed. We'd like to welcome Whiplash SimCams on board as our brand new camera provider, and they've been bringing us the new camera for 2025, and we're extending this partnership for more than a year. We'd like to thank our friends at Pit Stop TV for bringing us aboard live on FTN and allowing us to share the excitement of iRacing's brand new camera suppliers who are bringing the most realistic cameras in the market. With 22 laps to go this time by, we're going to crank it up unfiltered and uncensored from the Phoenix Raceway. Watch out now from Avondale, Arizona as we crank it up with 22 laps to go. "16 laps to go and time is now running out. Scott Eckrich, one goal, just finish this race." The time coming to a very quick close here. It looks like he's got himself up and ahead. No worries about anyone else. The entire top 10 has additionally subsided. Even battles back with like Nicholas Ward and Ross Cato come to a close. Cato now finds himself P9 as Sam Nieto gets by for. So it looks like some last-minute changes, but so far, very little remains changed at all for the front man. Scott Eckrich, looking to come across the line this time by to make it 14 laps to go, is alone and now has 4 seconds of lead. Which at the Phoenix Raceway, only a 1-mile track. That's about as dominant as it comes, given the fact we've raced only some 50 laps under green here. Scott Eckrich showing that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with all season long in a performance like this. It is a true statement to watch, likes of which may be comparable to seeing the start of Michael Araya, who came in as a rookie last year. First start of the scene, and won with force multiple races in succession. Scott Eckrich now looking to follow through and do just that. Further back now, Nicholas Ward seeing Ross Cato getting a little bit closer, as is Kevin Bernheimer. Bernheimer, however, is a lap machine, and he might interfere with Ross here, so you'll see Cato now struggling to stay inside the single digits, where previously he was running as high up as the top 3. Looks like right now, Nicholas Ward has the edge down low. He'll go for it. Can't quite make the pass. Take a look inside the cockpit now with the 97 as a dying battle comes through in the final dozen laps. A little bit loose out of turn 4, but that will be the pass, and we watched it on board there. Slyly making it to the inside groove. Nicholas Ward for P9. Ross Cato's now the last man inside the top 10. While it doesn't look like he's going to fall back significantly, I'm sure he does not like seeing a position being lost in the last now 10 laps of the night. 10 laps to go this time through, brought to you by Next Level Racing. White flag coming up, and now it's a more than 5-second advantage. Leader Scott Eckridge. He's got nobody out there to compete with. It looks like right now, as long as he just stays smooth sailing, he's got the win in the bag. Single digits now, 9 laps to go. The gap ever increasing. There is nobody out there to even contend with the 70. Sun begins to set, but even if the condition makes any difference, it's going to take an awful lot for Ethan Lane to make up even 2.5 seconds, let alone more than double that now, as Eckridge keeps on pulling. Nick Tarbuck third, and now going to be mired in the traffic. Jacob Fife is a half second back here, and he doesn't want to give away what he's got. Nick, last man in the podium. But if Chad, Dillon, and the like block him, he could fall out of there quicker than anything. Tarbuck to the low groove, making the move now to number 32. Up next will be Brian Perry in the 62. And then, if he gets up there, it could be another driver for position in Ethan Lane. A lucky 7 laps to go now for Tarbuck as he makes his way out of the Rat Pack. And an even luckier one for your man in front. Eckridge has been unbelievable tonight. And it looks like now he just has to seal the deal, making no self-forced errors. And he'll have himself a second career Octane Series win in only 2 weeks. Unbelievable racecraft and diligence for the 70 crew, who are now 6 seconds up with 6 to go. Just running those cruise control laps, doesn't have to concern himself at all about being too aggressive to get to the end. Every pass has been made. And tonight, your race winner takes it up from P5 to P1. Victory awaits, 5 laps to go so long as he hangs on, but it ain't over till it's over. And if he wants to be officially crowned as that race winner, he's got to hang tight. Nicholas Ward, now going to be 8th place, getting by Cody Smith. Ross Cato within a quarter second now, that number 18, and it looks like your Next Level Racing brand ambassador might have one final challenge on the day. We'll see if Ross can get up there, but right now it looks like still no dice. Aaron Eads and Brian Yazik fight to be the last men in the top 15. Yazik is 15th on the dot. Brian Yazik, of course, just ahead of Aaron Eads here. Small bundle, so the way this race will finish, of course, we saw it as it started. 4 consecutive yellow flags got us going for the first 25 laps. From there, only 2 cautions to finish the job. And throughout every incident, throughout every moment on the circuit, this man, already a winner this season, is looking to do what Blake Cannon did last night and go for a two-peat to kick off the Integrity Racing League 2025 year in the Octane Series. 2 laps to go now for Scott Eckridge. Eckridge has the advantage And with no one else in sight, a near 7-second lead. Looks like, save for a yellow flag, he is bound to find victory. We cross the white, this race is official, and Scott Eckrich should be able to come home and do it again. White flag's out, Eckrich across the line. And a two-time winner now in only 4 starts. Much like Blake Cannon, he'll begin the year with a 50% win rate and doing it at 2 completely different tracks. For starters, from end to end of the twists and turns of the Circuit of the Americas, and we knew he'd be a road course ringer. But tonight, he'll prove that the ovals are something he too can dominate in his number 70 Chevrolet Camaro. Scott Eckrich comes across the line to finish things off in Phoenix. 2-time consecutive race winner. Checkered flag is his in the Phoenix 156. Just finishing, Ethan Lane and Jacob Fife, 2nd and 3rd. And now Eckrich gets to burn down the house once again. Take a watch now as your winning man celebrates for the 2nd straight Tuesday. As the smoke clears, Scott Eckrich, your race winner. Take a look at the results from tonight's event. Eckrich will win 93 laps led, Ethan Lane 4 led on the day, and then Jacob Fife, the only man on the podium who did not lead 1 lap. You'll have 4th place, Nick Tarbuck, 5th in Brock Potter, P6 in Nolan Potter. 7th place goes Nicholas Ward with 8th Sam Nieto, 9th Ross Cato, Cody Smith, the top 10. Then from there, you'll see rounding out the top 15 and 20 respectively. 15th place, we'll see Aaron Eads behind Yazik, Campbell, Stevenson, and Keith. Jay Haishman, last man in the top 20 behind Perry, Muff, Kalis, and Sisler. The top 20 down to the top 30 sees Kyle Cooper, Eli Cars, Josh Gallagher, Zach Skrintenall, Eric McFarland, Matt Jonas, Chad Dillon, and Bernheimer, Josh Steele, and Randy Fiash. Your final drivers, Jared Davis, Paul Migolajczyk, Blake Cannon, Brian Greenlee, Brad Patton, Woody Mahan, Eric Thornton, Taylor Story, Don Runkle. 39 registries on the day, and although it was a much different race, very similar outcome for positions 1 and 2. Scott Eckrich, your winning man once again. Let's get a word now from the driver. Got the job done. Did so in dominating fashion. It's his 2nd time now in this broadcast booth, and he's already making himself a positive name, building up a reputation as the fast rookie, and he's going to do it once again, finding himself currently position number 1. Eckrich coming your way as we speak. We're going to try to find him here. There we have it. Going to be bringing him into the broadcast booth. Your race winner, Scott Eckrich, coming right up. And after leading nearly 100 laps on the day and dominating for the 2nd consecutive week, Scott Eckrich, you prove yourself the real deal here in Phoenix.
Heck yeah, I'm pretty happy to get this one. This is rough.
And tonight, a lot different from the dominance of the Circuit of the Americas. We wondered if you could do it again on the ovals, and it looked like tonight, especially late, you had the pace. But you didn't qualify in the top 3 this time, coming from 5th on up.
Yeah, I was a little timid. It was felt a little scary for me, in qualifying pace, but I was just trying to hold a good race pace and try to hang on to the tires at the end. Because I know a lot of times these races tend to go green, so I was just kind of focusing fully on the long run pace, and it happened to pay off.
In the long run, turning out the way things go, 2 cautions in that second half, and ever since that point, of course, you're able to run away. Any specific practice or adjustments you made to get that good long run speed?
No, just staying real disciplined, making sure I didn't get too wrapped up with fighting people around me. If somebody got to run on me, it's like you can have it. I'm just trying to run my pace. Knowing how this goes and how you got to keep the right rear on it. It's all about not slipping up, because if you slip up, you can't ever get the tire back.
Saving those tires just right until the tail end now. Brian, 2 consecutive wins. We go next to a more traditional mile and a half at Las Vegas. How do you feel about a shot in Sin City to go for 3 consecutive?
Not as good. Phoenix, flat tracks, they're kind of my better specialty. I'm definitely going to be much worse at Vegas, but we'll give it a go. It's been real fun racing with Ethan and Nick and all those guys up front. So I'm sure we'll give it a go and have a good race.
And not only getting great racing in, but getting great performances. 2 consecutive wins now for this number 70 team. Scott, any final comments you'd like to send out to the audience?
Yeah, as always, just shout out to you guys for the amazing broadcast, and all the guys that put this league on every week for us. We really appreciate it.
Scott Eckrich, 2 consecutive wins on the day. The number 70 gets the job done in Phoenix. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
We'll move on next, of course, to Ethan Lane, who comes away P2, second straight second place. And nothing there at the end for Eckrich, but again, getting a great points night, although I'm sure now you're starting to look closer and closer to what you can do to get that P1.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were quick tonight, a lot quicker than I expected. I was when I was catching Scott there, I slid the right rear once off of turn 4, and it was over from there. Just did our best to hang on to it for those last couple laps wherever we saw the tires. But overall, good run, P2 again. Look forward to the next 5 tracks. We have 2 mile and a halves, and then Rockingham, Darlington, and Bristol. Really good tracks for me. So hopefully we'll get our first win of the season there, and we can kick off a really good campaign.
Both you and Scott mentioning the importance of saving tires tonight, so I'd like to ask you from inside the cockpit, how hard was it to keep yourself with good tire management? As, of course, you can't really see what's going on, but you can hear it and feel it.
Oh, it was tough, because you knew you could run a couple tenths quicker to start the run, but you just had to hold yourself back. We did that the second run, and it worked out. I don't know what I could have done to catch Scott there.
Well, it looks like that remains the big question after 2 starts this season. Up next, one of your bread and butter tracks in Las Vegas. How confident are you about heading back to the intermediates and taking the checkered?
I feel good. Vegas is one of my better mile and a halves when it comes to the Gen 7 car. Love running there. So hopefully the tires don't kill themselves if you're on the fence. And if they don't, you'll see me up there pretty much the entire race.
Well, Ethan Lane looking to go 1 spot higher after 2 consecutive second-place finish. If you'd like to, of course, share anything else here with our fans watching, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just you, David, again, putting on these broadcasts, and everyone in Integrity for putting on the races. It was a rough start to the race, but we got 2 really good green flag runs in there, so it made it a lot better.
Ethan Lane coming away P2 on the day here in Arizona. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
And lastly, we'll talk to the boss man who gets another podium finish. Maybe a little bit more unexpected than anyone else. Jacob Fife made big moves to get up inside the podium, barely getting by Nick Tarbuck at the very end of this race. And that's the ticket to success to enter the top 3 once more. Jacob Fife once again outdoing expectations with the top 3 in Arizona and a very late pass to get there.
Yeah, that was a heck of a long run at the end. Just really had to start driving the car hard. I mean, you just hope you didn't break loose or spin out or whatever, because it's really on edge if you're not careful. So I was running down Terrebrook there. We kind of cleared some traffic, and I thought I blew it going into 1 and 2. But luckily, we were able to kind of get to the high side, hold it, and then once you're on the outside going into 3 and 4, kind of hold position and get the drive off, and we kind of beat him for the podium there, which is fun. But it was an awesome race at the end, though.
And you mentioned, as much as we noticed on the circuit tonight, all came down to that big green flag strategy. And notably for you, having to go from the middle of the field on up when it came to qualifying, not the best of runs, and having to dive through the field. And it was a caution-fest at first. The first few incidents saw a little bit of that stalemate action. How hard was it to be on the limit tonight, especially in the opening laps?
Yeah, I mean, I just think as a collective group, we're probably a little bit too aggressive. We didn't get settled into any type of rhythm to be able to have a green flag run. And we have a lot of talented guys here, and so you're trying to jockey for position and get in a place where you think you can do well. So I totally get it, but these are long races, so you kind of have to pick your spots and try to do the best you can to get in the rhythm. And I think it's usually what gets the best success in these races with us. But luckily, we're able to do that. We had one good run before halfway. I really excelled in the longer runs, so that helped me a lot. Kind of knock a few people, or not knock them out of the way, but get past them. And then we had the caution right around halfway or so. And yeah, I mean, it's really hard to pass here. So you have to set people up. You have to kind of plan how you're going to pass, and I was able to do that fairly well. Where the run went on, people kind of came back to me, and we were able to make some spots up.
Now, much like your win in Atlanta and the Oval here in Phoenix, we're going to go back to those left turns with Las Vegas coming up next. Perhaps an early chance for win number 2 to join Scott Eckrich in that category.
I don't know if I'm joining Scott in anything with the beatdown he's given us the past couple weeks, but I did a little testing there a few weeks ago, and obviously the build changes things, but the track's a lot of fun. I think it'll be a fun race, and hopefully we'll have some options to go low, high on the track, get some runs, make some passes, and it will be a fun race for everybody to do. I'm looking forward to it, but if it's anything like I remember, we'll definitely have to save your right rear, manage your tires, kind of like tonight, and should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, Jacob. We'll be staying in the desert, but before we head down to Nevada, any last comments you'd like to send us off with?
Yeah, well, as always, thank you, David, for broadcasting our league. You do a great job, and we appreciate you everything you do for us. Along those same lines, we can't go without thanking Next Level Racing and Sim Motion for their sponsorship and all of the opportunities they give us to be one of the better leagues here in iRacing with the rigs that we give away for Next Level Racing and the support that Sim Motion gives us through their sponsorship program. So thank them. And then ultimately, the league isn't what it is without the members that are in it. So I want to thank everybody who races on both Monday and Tuesday night. We've had a great success so far to start the year, both in racing and in our attendance and numbers, breaking records in both series. So really excited about that, and are actually just short of 100 members who have paid so far this season. So that's a really cool accomplishment if we can get there. And to have great racing go along with it is awesome. So definitely looking forward to how 2025 has panned out so far.
And as the competition increases, Jacob, you stay up in front. Third place on the day here from Phoenix. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good man.
So now you've heard from all your top 3 drivers, and it appears it's about time that we say goodnight live on FTN. To recap, Jacob Fife finishes 3rd, Ethan Lane comes away 2nd, and for the 2nd consecutive race, Scott Eckrich comes away as your race winner here in Arizona. Thank you, of course, for tuning in live on FTN. Next broadcast overall will be Thursday night with the IORA Cup Series and the Highline Racing League, and additionally our next Octane Series event. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern on FTN Broadcasting as the drivers go to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for some intermediate action. Thank you for tuning in to coverage tonight from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. You've been watching the action of the Integrity OCTANE Series 2025 season, race number 4 in Avondale, Arizona. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe